So we just saw the undefeated Jordan 4 shock drop early this morning over in the EU, which based off reports, they were saying that drop pretty much wasn't really any sweat. And matter of fact, there were even some select sizes sitting actually after the release. Now, as we all know over here in the States, this drop is going to be a whole different ball game, which the release hasn't even officially been confirmed by yet either Jordan Brand or Undefeated, but according to several reputable sources such as Complex, they mentioned the date of the 28th and even alluded to exclusive access as the release method, which I know a lot of people don't prefer that release method and would rather see them do a Leo drop. But as we're all sitting back kind of waiting patiently for this drop to go down, I thought it would be an important moment to kind of reflect, take a look back at this release, which I feel like nowadays here in the sneaker game, we all just kind of like move past these releases. They all kind of just come and go. So I thought it would be kind of crucial to take a look back at this iconic historic release, one that many people never thought would see the light of day, as we saw Jordan Brand team up with a once unknown sneaker shop which went by the name of Undefeated in 2005. We actually saw them release the very first official Jordan Brand collaboration with the undefeated Jordan 4. So who would have thought all these years later, 20 years later, matter of fact, this sneaker actually would be dropping, which I guess as far as that original drop, what they were saying, the story was like, what, 72 pairs or something like that. So once extremely limited, and now it feels like they just flooded them joints with pairs for almost everybody. So as far as the leak of when we actually first got word this sneaker would be making a return, you guys see the date right here. Eldon Monitors posted this last summer, June 2024. And now a year later here, they're talking about summer 2025, which we're here, and the drop is actually happening. So huge props to Eldon Monitors breaking the early word on that. At the time when this first leaked, a lot of people thought it was cap, but then fast forward, and here we are. And then of course, months after the leak, we then first got the first official looks at this shoe. Of course, you already know there was gonna be a whole bunch of fakes popping out, some with the Jumpman on the back, some with the Nike on the back, different shades of green. But this was the very first official pair from Jordan Brand, which is gifted out to somebody. I can't remember exactly who this one was to, Yachty or Clint 49, one of them boys or something like that. But this was the first official look, which at that time, people were saying the material's looking nice. You had some people complaining about the shade of green and everything like that, which of course, anytime you get a first look, there's always gonna be people complaining. But when you talk about a sneaker like this, one of mythical proportions, like, come on, y'all wasn't even out here in 2005. Half of y'all didn't even know these joints existed. So how y'all gonna be over here on the internet complaining about these joints when you all know once the drop goes down, everybody's gonna be copying, which of course, then we learned that there were some key differences when you point out the looks from the 05 original drop to what we got here in 2025. Of course, we talked about the shade of green, but one of those key details on the back heel tab, as the original pair featured the Jumpman logo, this 2025 update featured the Nike Air on the back, which brings a new element of storytelling, you know, as far as this release, and separates it from the iconic original drop, which some people would even look at that as an upgrade. Personally, I would like to see them joints drop as true to the OG as form as possible, but I understand how collectors and everything, you know, do appreciate that small little difference, which Undefeated, you know, did show love to the collectors and everything like that, with the new version featuring the Nike Air on the back. So what do y'all think about that difference? I thought it really doesn't matter too much, but if I had to choose, we're sticking with OG. Now, as far as the first release details, they did do a little pre-launch, of course, showing love to the city of Chicago, where MJ actually played basketball for the Chicago Bulls. So that was a cool little touch. You had people entering with this little QR code scan raffle for a chance to be able to get these early. So that was the little pre-launch festivities, which kind of kicked things off, had the internet buzzing, going crazy. Then they opened up the nationwide raffle, as well as select pop-ups at various locations. And then we had the big Undefeated release, which went down the following Saturday. So y'all remember how that drop went down? Everybody was complaining about quality, or my bad, they were complaining about the site being botted out and everything. So it actually turned out that the raffle was the way to go, which a lot of people got blessed with W's for that raffle. It felt like there was almost enough pairs to go around for everybody, but I'm a testimony to let y'all know that there are still people waiting around for their pairs to be delivered, which of course Undefeated did mention pairs should ship out as far as up to the 29th. So hopefully everybody gets their confirmation by tomorrow. Now, as I mentioned, everybody was sitting around waiting for the pairs to come in, which that's when we first started to hear the reports of quality control issues, which you had some pairs showing visible scuffs, some having imperfect designs, all kind of crazy shenanigans happening, which I ain't gonna lie, these joints right here looking like they were a Nigel Sylvester undefeated collaboration with the pre-scuff and everything like that. So that's kind of crazy. You know, an unfortunate consequence anytime Jordan Brand is gonna drop something as mass produced as such as a pair of fours like this. You already know, if you've been following the brand for a while, that's just something we kind of have to deal with. And it's like, it's not going to stop people from buying Jordans. Like, are y'all going to boycott Jordan Brand for these quality control issues? Absolutely not. People are still going to cop the shoes. You know what I'm saying? So the cycle will just continue. It just is what it is unless y'all going to do something about it. So a lot of quality control issues. People are still waiting on their pairs to ship, which orders should ship out as far as tomorrow at the latest. So that was cool and everything like that. You had people getting their pairs. And then that brings us here to today, which we're all sitting back waiting patiently for the shock drop to actually go down, which as I'm recording this in advance, it looks like we haven't seen anything happen. So hopefully as y'all are watching this, we see a whole bunch of W's here in the chat, because this one is an iconic drop. I already went over the history. We talked about the storyline surrounding this release, but I just think it's a dope pair of Jordan 4s. Like, put all the history to the side, the resale value, all that good stuff to the side. Like, these joints are just clean based off the M1 bomber jacket, good color combo, got that little pop of orange in there, sale hits, you know, on the side right there. Dope shoe, man. Good looking, easy to wear. And with all the talk, the history surrounding this drop, you got to put it in the conversation of sneaker of the year. I know that always gets over talked about so often, but when you just talk about how much love people have for these joints right here, the amount of pairs that they made, I feel like it's got to be in the conversation. So as I mentioned, hopefully by the time you're watching this, we get some W's in the chat, including myself, which you already know what time it is with these. So Jordan 4 undefeated, one coming out of the Grail, the sneaker which many people thought would never release. We went through the storylines. Now we're all sitting back just waiting patiently to see how it all goes down. So I'm hoping it ain't exclusive access. Maybe we can get a little draw or something like that. Sneakers link. We'll see how it all happens. But as of right now, Nike, they being real sneaky about this one. It looks like the release method hasn't leaked, kind of like with the Nigel 4 brick by brick. So maybe they're being real quiet about this one. Maybe they learned their lesson from that drop and they're switching things up, maybe leaving us hanging to the last moment. We'll see how it all goes down. But just a little pre-launch talk ahead of the big drop. Let me know how things went down for you guys. So salute, guys. JATV. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out, y'all. Love. Stay safe, stay blessed. JA.
Stay safe, stay blessed. Stay safe.